Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, 19th of April 2023, and we are here. It's 9 o'clock in Ireland, 10 o'clock in France and in Spain, and we have the full team here today to talk about psychography. What it is, and is anyone able to do it? So, hello, Camille. Good evening. So let's start with the introductions here. So, ladies first, boys. Miss Gibbons, how are you, my dear?
I'm very well, thank you, and hope everyone is well as well. Thank goodness, haven't been terribly well lately, but I'm really good now. And looking forward to today and the subject, which is interesting, and there's a lot to learn on that. And, welcome everyone. Nice to have Rodrigo with us today, and Charles again, and you, Stevan. So it's nice when we are all together.
Yes.
So, ok. Boa tarde a todos que nos acompanham hoje. Bem-vindos mais uma vez. E nós vamos falar hoje sobre psicografia, que é um tema muito importante, muita coisa a aprender. E bem-vindo a todos e que Deus nos abençoe. Thank you.
Amén.
Ok. So, buenas noches, Rodrigo. ¿Cómo estás?
Buenas noches, yo estoy bien con este team, con este equipo aquí, estamos todos bien siempre. Y muchas gracias una vez más por ser parte de este equipo. Y como dijo Silvia, que Dios nos bendiga para que podamos llevar este mensaje. Un tema hoy bastante técnico sobre mediunidad, pero que fue de extrema importancia para el surgimiento del espiritismo, de toda la codificación. Y creo que hay algunas cositas también que son bastante interesantes, algunos detalles que puede ser bastante interés de mucha gente. Thank you for being here once again. So it's a pleasure. It's very nice to be here with this team. Hopefully we can achieve our target today here, fulfilling it with responsibility, with love, with charity. And today's subject is a little bit technical, but it's a very nice subject. Is how the Spiritism grew as a philosophy. Of course, we had the tables, but let's say the intelligence behind, or the way we grew up, or we could put speed, or how Kardec put his speed on the codification was through the psychography. So it's a very good subject to speak to tonight. And vou falar também um pouco em português, porque não sei se as pessoas sabem, mas eu também sou brasileiro, estou morando na Espanha, então muito obrigado pela oportunidade de estar com vocês. Espero que vocês aproveitem, assim como nós, da oportunidade de hoje, do tema que vamos falar.
Okay, and now we go to beautiful France. Ça va bien, Charles?
Ça va, bonsoir Stevan, bonsoir Rodrigo, bonsoir Silvia, bonsoir à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous aujourd'hui pour parler aujourd'hui de psychographie. Donc c'est une forme de médiumnité et puis c'est, je dirais, la plus courante. Donc c'est pour ça qu'on va essayer d'en parler, de montrer la praticité et en même temps quelques difficultés qui sont liées à cette pratique. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here again with you today. 19th of April, yesterday was 166 years of the Spirit's book, anniversary of Spiritism, and today we will talk about psychography, which is the most common and also most practical way of communication from the spirits to us, but we will try to show you how it works and also some difficulties linked to psychography.
Great. So, good evening, Marco. Good to have you here, my friend. So, let me show my screen here. Let's Let's see what the video is bringing to us today.
When we mention psychography, it's a form of mediumship. Mediumship meaning an intermediary. In the most basic terms, we could explain psychography in the following way. We have a medium, which serves as a vehicle, and we have a spirit. Through the connection of mind to mind, the mind of the spirit that wishes to communicate, and the incarnate medium connecting with the mind of the spirit, bringing us the ideas, transmitting the ideas to the incarnate via a written form. Psychography is another way that we might be more familiar with it in other terms here in the US as automatic writing, or also mediumship might be referred to as channeling. But this is not a new term. You can look this up and learn about it. It's also called, I believe by Freud, called free association. It is the writing. But in Spiritism psychography, we know specifically it is the written form of communication from spirit to the medium.
Okay. Short video. And psychography, it's one of the, not the most, because there is no one single important, but it is the more easy way to see when when a person is writing. Most of you know a little bit about Chico Xavier, the Brazilian medium, and he became more known among all the Brazilians because he used to psychograph letters for the mothers who the son or daughters passed away, and he used to psychograph these letters and give these letters to the moms, a kind of consolation, a kind of comfort for them. And also, we do have a lot of books today. Many books are psychographed, channeled by mediums, and we do have, like Divaldo has, I don't know, more than 100 and something books already published, and so this is one important way to communicate, a way of communication from the spiritual world with the incarnated world. So, saying that, um, can I start? Let's start with the ladies today. And basic question: what is psychography, and who is able to do it?
Okay. Psychography, and here in England they call automatic writing or psychography, but it's most commonly known as automatic writing. It's an ability that certain mediums have to receive a communication from the spiritual world. And this is very important, this one, because in a way, writing, as the medium's book said, I wrote some notes. I'm going to read it because I think it's better than just babbling on. It's one of the best, simplest, and most convenient and complete way to communicate with the spirits, because it enables us to establish a regular and continuous relationship with them, help us to know and learn their thoughts, and to appreciate their true value. Also, I think one of the important things, because in many ways, writing is one of the commonest of abilities in mediumship that there is, and is one of the very, very few that a person can exercise that mediumship to work on that. So this is very important, because normally although there are almost as many types of mediumship as there are people, there are mediums rather, some have one, we all of us have one or more abilities as mediums, but maybe one or two is more predominant. We can have certain abilities as well, but very rarely there is a medium that encompasses, many types of mediumship, or even all. And I think one of the very few people that we know of is, as you said, Stevan, Rodrigo Xavier, because he was absolutely completely different. He was a complete medium. He wrote, he had trance, he had every type of mediumship, which he was good at everything. But it was told to him that he was going to write that where he was going to be more relevant. And the 800 books that we have over 459 books already published, and there are a lot more books to come, because there was a lot of work that had been put aside in his lifetime, and now they are bringing together to publication. And also, as you said, he wrote hundreds and hundreds of letters to parents and to family members who had lost loved ones. So this is an ability that can be exercised. Of course, it will depend on the person. Some people have the ability more than others, the facility there. And they will write poetry, and they will write great treatises, and it will depend also on the medium. And there also, within this ability, there are many types of writing mediums. I think one of the main ones is the mechanical mediums. They write, and those are very rare, because the medium is writing, his arm is taken over, and he's completely unconscious of what he's writing. This is one of the very rare kind of, mediumship they can do. Most people semi mechanical mediums, and those, they take over your arm, they write, but you have some conscience. As a medium, you know what is being said. Then we have the intuitive mediums, which is like someone is standing next to you, dictating to you what to say. So you're writing in your own handwriting, the way you write normally, but you feel as if there is a person there. Either you hear it, or you hear it in your mind, and then you write. Those are the intuitive mediums. Then you have the polygraphic mediums, so they can write in different forms, and I think this will be talked about more extensively. I think maybe Rodrigo Charles will talk about that. So it's just a question of writing as well. Then you have the polyglot mediums, that they write in languages that they normally they don't speak, but when they are spirits are communicating through them, they are able to speak in other languages. And another one as well that's important, it's for mediums who are not able to read and write, but under the influence of a spirit, they are able to write. So they are called the literate mediums. So those are the main types of medium. That they are more on writing, but I don't want to overgo to the questions that will be answered by other people. And but I think one of the most important things about mediumship writing, the writing medium, the psychograph, it's because I think within Spiritism, those have been the most important for us, because it's through the writing mediums that we have received not only the 5 books of the codification, but also a lot of information that came through the Spiritist Review and everything. And also, I mean, as we said before, Chico Xavier has written books that goes from poetry, from the very famous poets when he which was one of his first books, through books on science, on philosophy, on the most advanced things in medicine and biology and geology and all sorts of books that we find within the books of, in the collection of Andrea Luiz in the spiritual world, that, a lot of information come, and the information that comes through the books, in a way explains a lot of what was in the Spirit's book and the Medium's book and Genesis and the Gospel and everything. So this is one of the most, although it's a common one, is one of the most important, especially because of the source material that we have in studying about the spiritual world and our communication with it and our lives here incarnated, and how the discarnated people see us as well. So I think this is one of the most wonderful ability, and to be able to do it as well is very interesting. I will leave it for other people now, to Rodrigo and Charles, and then afterwards I can maybe talk a little bit about my own experience in being a psychograph medium as well. So I'll leave it here for the moment.
Thank you, my dear. Rodrigo, let's say for those who are not used with psychography, they can easily say, oh, this is not a spirit writing, this is a fake. And there is any way to prove that it wasn't the medium who wrote it? For example, does the medium handwriting change under the spirit influence?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for the question. And as first of all, I think in my opinion, I think what I have seen, I don't remember who mentioned that, but I think it's the best way is to know ourselves. So if we know ourselves, we know that the ideas which are coming to us to write, especially if we are intuitive or if we are semi-mechanical psychograph medium. So that's the best way to identify if the idea is mine or not. So there, not only for psychography, but also for any type of mediumship. I think if you think that, would I be thinking or would I be having that idea or that thought myself? So that's the best way. So knowing ourselves and knowing if the idea which is coming is something that I would be usually thinking, that's the best way to do. And I think also Kardec mentions that in the Medium's book. But of course, one of the ways, and I think that's the best way to do it, a psychography which is called polygraphic, as Silvia said. It's in the question 191 of the Medium's book. What the type of psychography? This is when a spirit or a medium writes with in the way, I mean, in the way, in all the aspects which a spirit would be writing when incarnated, or if it's basically a public figure, or a public person, a known person, or if the handwriting is as the same as the spirit used to write when he was incarnated. This is a fantastic mediumship capacity or faculty, because it brings exactly what you mentioned, the trust in the psychography. I think there's also a situation which Kardec received psychography at the time. I think it's mentioned even in the movie, Kardec's movie, that he was a very known person, a person. I think he was a writer. I don't remember the name of the person. And then the signature of the psychography was exactly the same of that personality when he was incarnated. And then they took it to a specialist, and they proved that the signature was from that person who had died. And I think that comes to the fact that the mediumship faculty has an important role, and I think the most important role of bringing us the knowledge. That's why, that's how we came to know, and how Kardec brought, let's say, in easier way, of course, because when there was the tables, so the way they were writing, asking questions, and they were receiving the answers, it was very difficult for them. So to have a phrase, a complete phrase in that methodology, like just with the knocks and the noise, it would be taking a long time to have a phrase and an answer for a question. So with psychography, it became easier, it became more fluid, or faster to have this communication, this intelligent communication. But of course, the tables, the visual, I think the physical manifestation, it was important to bring trust, to bring people to really see that that thing was real and not something which was fake. With psychography, when we talk about polygraphic psychography, it is the same. So it helps us to trust and to believe in that thing. If we look at the book, Kardec's book, The Spiritist Travel Trip of 1962, which we talked about some weeks ago. So Kardec mentioned three phases, not himself, but the spirits told him that the spiritism would be having three phases. The first is the calling the attention, which is like with all this physical manifestation and so on, these things which would be making it visible for people to really see that there was something behind that, just gaining trust. The second would be the philosophical side, which was all the thoughts, all the books, all the codification. And then the third would be practicing it, putting it in practice. These would be the three phases. So I think the polygraphic psychography is exactly bringing us this and helping us even today to have this trust. Even today, we have many people judging spiritism and judging all the communications and trying to make it be seen as a fake. But when we have this kind of situation, when we have this kind of manifestation, so the polygraphic, when we have like a medium who is illiterate to speak or to write something, even not knowing that how to do it. So these are proofs that we have, and the spirits they bring to us because they know us. They know that we are very skeptical. So as humans, so for us to call our attention for those who have this possibility, because Kardec says that sometimes even the person seeing the manifestation, seeing the facts, they do not believe. So this is a fact, because people who are not willing to believe, they even if they see something, they would not believe on that. That's what Kardec mentions. In this kind of mediumship, it's very clear that there's something there which we cannot deny. I remember a medium. What's the I don't remember the name of the medium now. The who was physical. He was not. I don't remember the name. Charles, help me. We mentioned about that. That he went to visit in the farm that they were having in Brazil. They were having the meeting. Euripides Barçanufo. Thank you. So thank you, Charles. He rescued me. So Euripides Barçanufo, he was skeptical about spiritism, and I remember the story says that, or all the things, the facts, that he went to a medium spiritist meeting in a city, which was basically most of those people they were relatives to Euripides Barçanufo, and he knew someone who was the medium, who was a medium. He was, I think, his relative or a cousin, I don't remember, and he was illiterate. He didn't. He was not illiterate, but he was incapable, let's say, intellectually speaking, to mention something about the Bible. And then Euripides said, "Oh, if he speaks about this subject, because he knew that that person was impossible to do that. If he speaks about that and explain this to me, I will believe," and he did it. So that's the point. So this kind of mediumship, polygraphic psychography, and the physical manifestations, they are all bringing our attention and bringing trust to what we have coming to us through the spiritism. I think that's my question. Sorry for circling around, but I think it was necessary to bring to the table what I was trying to mention.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you very much. Charles, my friend, we saw now from a human side, okay, why this medium here is not pretending, is not giving any fake message or something like this. But let's talk now from the medium point of view. How a medium know that message is not from his thoughts, it's from a spirit communication?
Oh, that's a good question, and indeed, it's one of the most complex challenge in the mediumship, because the medium has also a spirit, and the spirit is somehow an intermediary between the communicating spirit and what is in fact written, okay, or said when it's a psychophony. It's the same principle applies for both type of mediumship. So the spirit of the medium has an influence on the communication, okay. So Kardec dedicated a full section of the medium's book only to discuss this difficulty. Right? It's chapter 19 of the medium's book, only about the influence of the medium's spirits in the communication he receives. And what needs to be understood is the medium, in order to give, how to say, passivity, to enable the approximation of the communicating spirit. He needs to take some, how to say, distance from his, to give some space for having the other medium coming. So in this moment, the medium itself has how to say, a brighter view than in his conscious state, okay, because he can have a view from his spirit, like in the somnambulism phenomenon. It's a little bit similar. So not only the spirit of the medium is influencing, but also he has a brighter, a wider view than in the normal wake state. So what is the spirits are teaching to Kardec is that whether you want it or not, the spirit of the medium is always influencing the communications. Okay, so there is a communication written is always a mixture between what the spirit, the ideas of the spirits, which wants to communicate, and also of some deformation or mixed with some ideas of the medium himself, of the spirit of the medium itself. So that is why it's very difficult to make sure what is exactly coming from the third spirit, the communicating spirit, and what is exactly coming from the spirit of the medium. And when Kardec asked, okay, what shall we do to make the difference? The spirits are answering, study and study a lot, analyze a lot. And there you will see, for instance, in the case of Chico Xavier, he was receiving letters with proofs of identity. Rodrigo and then Silvia talked also about the writing, the letter and the signatures. So these are some elements who can help. Things that Chico Xavier is completely ignoring, the name, the color of the dog, and full of details of a family of some people he never met, never knew anything about them. There you have some evidences that these ideas and this detailed information is indeed coming from the spiritual world and not from the spirit of Chico Xavier himself. Nevertheless, so the spirit, communicating spirit, is transmitting the ideas, and he needs to find within the medium the tool, a kind of a toolbox, the words, for instance, that are written to express the ideas. They must exist in the mind, in the spirit of the medium. This is why we talked also, I think Rodrigo also mentioned the xenoglossy, so to write in a foreign language that even the medium does not know, at least in this incarnation. So this happens. So the explanation we can have for that is maybe he knew this language from one of his past life. So that is how the spirit then can find also these words in a foreign language, even if it's not from this life, it's coming from this knowledge of the spirit that he saved from a past life. And the spirits are even saying to Kardec, if the medium, for instance, has absolutely no tool, for instance, if a spirit wants to make me writing something in Chinese, and that I never had any notion of Chinese in this life and also in the past lives, he will be obliged really to make line by line all, so it's a huge work for the communicating spirit. So it is possible, but it's a huge work from the communicating spirits, and the purpose of the mediumship, and particularly of psychography, is to receive longer messages with giving more complete and detailed information, or writing even some complete books, as it is happening a lot. And then, of course, to do that line by line or letter by letter would be, at least for the spirit and for the medium itself, a nightmare. So this is why, it is normal, for instance, also when the spirit wants to write something on a scientific knowledge or a scientific law. If the medium has absolutely no clue about that science, it will be very difficult as well for the medium to communicate something about science when there is absolutely no notion of science in the spirit of the medium himself. Okay, so all these things are showing how this psychography is complex. And on top of this, we can also say, for instance, when a spirit wants to communicate with a medium, let's say in the next day or in the same day evening mediumistic session, the spirit may be close to the medium the day or even some hours or some days before the mediumistic meeting. So the medium himself will have a kind of some ideas coming in his head about the communications that will come during the mediumistic meeting. So this can also sometimes give to the medium the impression that, no, I had already this idea, I was thinking about that exactly today or earlier today or yesterday, but without knowing that these ideas came already from the spirits who would communicate later on. Okay, so all this consideration, Kardec is really going in detail and showing how it is complex. And in fact, what we say is to the mediums, since there is always an influence of the mediums, there is always a kind of a mixture. I would say the trustable medium like Chico Xavier is maybe 80% coming from the spirit and 20% only from himself. Some other medium, even beginner, for instance, it may be 70% from himself and only 30% from the spirit. Don't worry about that. Just let it come, because the medium is here to transmit the communication. He must not analyze and question a lot whether it's me or not me, or if it's good or not good, or if he should or should not, or whatever. He just has, since the medium is practicing in a spiritist group, he just has to let the message coming through, and the analysis is then done later. For instance, sometimes the medium has to communicate messages from low evaluated spirit. And this happens, for instance, when the group wants to help and to assist these low evaluated spirits through that medium. So if the medium is blocking and saying, no, these thoughts are not good, and blocking the communication, it will not be possible for the group to help and to assist that lower evaluated spirit, So this is why the medium, he should just practice in a group, having around him some other people, the responsible of the group and knowledgeable people with experience, and the analysis will be done later on. Because if you start blocking, I think this comes from me, this does not come from a spirit, you are in fact blocking the true communication. So it's one of the biggest hurdles in the exercise of developing the mediumship. Of course, the responsible of the group, they will detect when the medium is influenced always by the same spirit who tries to, to start an obsession to this medium. So they will warn him when they detect such a thing. But the rule is, don't worry if it's from you or from the spirit. Just let it come through. The analysis is done later on. So this is just roughly to start. There would be a lot more things to discuss about this subject. I think we could discuss the whole night. One thing I wanted to add, or two things I want to add, is we talked some automatic writing. Some people, as Silvia told at the beginning, are writing totally unconscious of what they are writing. They can even talk to you about something and write with something else. And Kardec also described some medium who were with two pens writing one thing with the left hand and another thing totally different, independent with the right hand. But so this is the so-called unconscious, or how to say, totally automatic writing. And even in those cases, the spirit of the medium is influencing. Okay, even when the spirit is using the fluid from a medium of physical effect to move a table, the answers that the table will give will be influenced through the spirit of the medium giving the fluid. So this is the spirits are saying this very, very clearly. So it's just natural. We have a known spirit. It's sometimes even interesting in some nomulic state because we can learn a lot about ourselves from the
Ooh,
being listing
ooh.
or medium. So just let it come through and then carefully analyze later on. And with the time and with the exercise, is really that you can make the difference and reach a level of mediumship like the one Silvia described from Chico Xavier. And the second thing I wanted to say is, uh, of course, we told it already several times. Mediumship should be done completely disinterested. Okay, we should not ask for money for a mediumistic message because the message is given by the spirits. So what is given, we are not entitled to sell it. It's a faculty that is existing only when the spirit is here. So without spirit, we cannot do anything. So in this case, uh, unfortunately, the mediums who are asking for money for the mediumship, clearly they consciously write the things totally themselves with zero influence of the spirit or even with the influence of bad spirits willing to jeopardize the people which is in front of him. So that's an extreme case, and this is also one of the reasons why in spiritism we are not in favor of asking for money for mediumistic practice.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and Marco wrote here important things saying the preparation to start to psychograph, and we are saying I'm saying this is my part here, Marco. Um, the medium needs this preparation because we need to understand that the message is not from us, it's from somebody else, and we don't need to give pride. Oh, I'm writing a message from Kardec or writing a message from X. It doesn't matter who gives the message. And at the same time, we need to be with our moral worked because today, if we receive a message written or signed by Kardec, a lot of questions come up. And is the medium ready to say to listen, hey, well done for the message, but it's signed by Kardec. Well, let's analyze, let's check, let's take this further because perhaps you might are under influence of non good spirits. So in most of the times I saw this a lot. I think Charlie saw this a lot. Rodrigo and Silvia, when you say this for a medium who just wrote a message with a good name signed, never ends good. Always we have the pride, the selfishness. Always we have something saying, "Oh, he's judging me. Why I cannot receive a message from this spirit or that spirit?" That's why we need this study before reading the gospel according to spiritism, understand the medium's book. So all this is a process in which you need to get prepared to be a vehicle between the spiritual world and the material world. You are just this piece. That is no more important or less important. You are there to serve, and we are here to serve. That's it.
But Steven, I would add on this, I see the concern of Marco. Sometimes it's a little bit exaggerated by some groups to have 3-year studies and plus 2 years gospel plus then other 3 years mediums book before starting
Yes.
practicing mediumship. I mean, too much is too much. It depends. Some people, they will have these 6 or 7 years and they will not be ready. Some other people who are, how to say, more evolved maybe, after 6 months studies, they will be ready, you see. So it's not so black or white. And mediumship is sometimes happening spontaneously, without, if it happens spontaneously to someone who has no clue about spiritist teachings, he will need to deal with it, or to block it, and to, so that is why you can also not be so elitistic in the mediumship. Kardec was always, and Leon Denis and all the others, quite open. Of course, you need to take care, you need to analyze, you need to make never alone, always with a group, some people who can detect whether you are being wrongly influenced by a spirit and whatsoever, to make a kind of a safeguard to the medium himself. But some people, I saw already some example, are already after just a couple of months reading the books, and then they understood everything. And some others, after 20 years of study, you still ask a question, they will still answer wrongly.
Sure.
So it's
I think
a question
that's a
also
very
of maturity.
important.
Silvia, yes.
Start over, Silvia, because you
Hello,
broke
is
up.
everyone there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, I think this point that Charles said is very important. I think this thing about having to study 5-10 years is completely wrong. It's absolutely a waste of time, because mediumship is a biological thing. Every single person has. Some have ostensive mediumship, some not, but we are all mediums. And I think some people have those abilities, and they have this intuition to write, and they write things, they write poems, and they never heard of mediumship, they never heard of automatic writing, but they have those ideas and they write. The same thing with mediums who have music. Some of them are very inspired and they write things. I think that the reason why that we say we needed to study, we needed to learn, and we needed to be prepared, and also not only study spiritism, but study things as a whole, because you are as good as much as you know, because as Charles pointed out before, we have this ability. The more we learn, more we know, is easier for the spirits to communicate through us. Although we do have, it's important, the moral side as well, because the good medium is not the ones who have all the abilities, but is the one who use it for love and for helping others, for charity, and that's the main thing why we have mediumship, that in helping others we help ourselves as well. And it's very interesting because even though we have messages sometimes, I have my own experience of writing with my left hand, and I'm absolutely useless normally with my left hand. I don't write with my left hand, I can't do anything. But I used to receive message with my left hand, and I was incredible that I could actually write messages with my left hand. So this is interesting, and also the way, how the spirit take over your arm. And sometimes it's in a completely different way from the way you write yourself. And this, until you learn to absolutely let go. I remember once, it was writing the pencil in a different, and I was trying to move my hand to write the way I usually do. And the spirit was quite angry with me, and he moved my hand, and then I just let go. And then until you get used to that, to just let go and let the spirit write. If he writes the other way around from the way you write. Just let him. And this takes time, take practice. And also, I think one point as well, so I like to say to conclude here, is that when you are in a mediumship group, you are receiving messages from spirits who I need, but are able to communicate to writing. When we talk about writing books and publishing books, that's where we have to be very, very careful. Mediums like Chico Xavier wrote a long time before. And remember Divaldo saying that he had written packs and packs and packs of stuff. And then the spirit said to him, just throw everything away. Now we're going to start writing, So I think we need to have this care, especially when you're going to put something in publication. It needs to be analyzed. It needs to be worked with the group to find out. And that's an important point. It's not, I received messages. And the highest spirits usually don't come to beginners. Just so the need to analyze the message is very, very important, and especially if it's, the aim is publication. Rodrigo, may you want to say something here to complete? Or?
Yeah, no, I think you left very few things for me to say, but yes, as you said, Silvia, the faculty of being a medium, I mean, to translate or to the spirit thoughts through psychography or whichever other way of mediumship, it's very simple. So there are mediums who are simply start manifesting, and then what you need to do is to educate the mediumship. Okay, but why Kardec mentions that? Why is important to study, and why the spirit centers they are pushing it strongly? Because there's one thing. I was talking to my son today. So the criteria for you to judge reality, and one of the criteria to judge reality is what is right or wrong. Okay, right or wrong has to do with morality, and of course, if you are dealing with communications from spirits, we are dealing with the invisible. Okay, so, and if it comes from the invisible, you need to use your judgmental capacity to understand if what is being brought is right or wrong, especially if it's true or not, because there could be mystification. So that's why we need to study the gospel, the spirit's book, because first of all, when we have a spirit speaking or writing, we need to be prepared. First of all, not to be scared, because what is being written or said can impact us, the people who are around the table or around the mediumship meeting. So you might be prepared to receive a communication from your enemy from the past. Are you ready to face that? Are you prepared to face that? So I have faced that myself in the communications. So it's impacting. So that's why, first of all, it's a closed meeting, especially today. You must be prepared to deal with that and to translate that communication into something useful. So if we are not prepared to that, we can get a very mystified message, and it simply, publish it, as many mediums do today, and that message is not bringing something very useful, or can be converting a truth or the truth or something good into something bad, can confuse our minds, confuse our judgment, and then it can be very dangerous. So mediumship itself is simple. Dealing with mediumship is complicated. So that's why working with mediumship requires study, study, and study. And even after we have studied and started dealing with mediumship, we need to keep studying to refresh our knowledge.
This is what I wanted to add also. The medium who is saying, "Oh, I have studied 6 years, now I know everything, I will practice the mediumship, don't need to study anymore," is completely wrong. So the study needs really to be constant, permanent, and restart even the same book. In the same book, when you will make a second study, you will find things that you passed too quickly during the first study. And also by inspiration of the spirits, you will fall into some items that you neglected a little bit at the first sight, and which are fundamental for the practicing of your mediumship. So the study needs really to be permanent.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think this is interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes I go to the book and I say, oh, I can't remember studying that. I don't remember this. Somebody said, and then I go to my book and I have notes on it. I studied that. But also, I think our level of understanding, isn't it, Charles? The way we study, the more we study, the more we learn, the more we pick up. I like to say something very quickly here to Marco. If you're listening, Marco, I think you have a lot of comments, but I really think you should leave all these teachers or whatever you're learning from and go to the medium's book and the spirit's book and study it by yourself, get to your own conclusions, because without learning about mediumship from the spirits, people have all sorts of ideas and they like to say things. Go to the books, go to the basic, go to the medium's book, go to the spirit's book and read it and read it and read it. I think it will be very helpful for you in your understanding. And all of us, we are constantly learning, and the more we learn, the more I think, especially in everything really, but in spiritism mostly, the more we learn, the less we know, because there is always something more to learn and another thing more to learn. And you learn one thing and there are 10 else to do. So it's a wonderful and challenging and wonderful thing, really.
Yeah.
So
And dealing with spirits, we are dealing with consciousness. We are dealing with hearts. We are dealing with, with people who have feelings. And then we need to do it responsibly. So we need to be very responsible dealing with spiritism and with the communications. So a doctor needs to study a lot before practicing it. So even a football player who is very skilled football player, he needs to train. He needs to learn how to play with the team, how to play for the team, how to apply their techniques to make a team, being successful. So it's the same with mediums. So even those mediums who are already showing and demonstrating some mediumship capacity, they need to educate themselves for them to be a good tool. If we don't do that, not only the mediums, because everybody is medium, so everybody who works in a mediumship meeting needs to be prepared and study a lot. So we need to learn. So as I was saying, so one of the criteria to judge reality is what is right or wrong. The other one, what is good or bad for me or for everyone, and what is ugly and what is pretty. So knowing what is right or wrong is very important in the mediumship meetings is the same. So we need to study to judge well what the spirits they are saying in order for us to protect ourselves and to protect the ones who are using that communication. Otherwise, we can create a damage which takes a long time to be repaired. You are in mute, Stevan.
My friends, our time is up, unfortunately. I want to say good night to Vidente Neuza de Xangô. Thank you for being here with us. Marco, we already mentioned here, Camille. So we had a lot of comments. Very good. I like when we have so many interaction here. Let me go quickly to the announcements. And one second. It's there. There we go. So next week, 26th of April, the topic is physical manifestations, haunted places. physical manifestations, haunted places. It's next Wednesday. So, our friend from Bournemouth, Fabrício Assunção, is holding a course on spiritism psychology. If you have any interest, please contact him. You see in your screen his details. We are walking towards the end of the April, so it's the end of the World Spiritist Month. If you want to, every single day, a spiritist from anywhere in the world leave a message in the feal.com.br, Ms. Spirita, so you can enjoy a message in many languages, and it's good to know where the spiritism has put his foot. So, Medium's book study every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. London time, with Guilherme Dias, Munir Gariba, and Charles. And our friend Ebony Paris every Monday, 8 p.m. She conducts a study of the book Astral City, Nosso Lar. And every other week, we have a show with Rafael Caldas and Faye Waddington in conversations on mediumship. That's it, my friends. I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Merci, Charles. Gracias, Rodrigo. Obrigado, Silvia.
Thank you very much.
So I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week, maybe with health and
Peace.
everything come up after this. So
God
and
bless
a
you
little
all.
bit of warmth, and a little bit of warmth as well, because
Yeah,
we're tired
yeah.
of warmth. They
yeah,
never
yeah.
end.
Summer is upon us, Silvia.
I hope so. Because
Yeah.
it was
We are
very
beating
cold.
28 in Spain already.
Oh my God! Send some here because we're still 10 degrees.
I'll do that.
All the
Anyway.
best.
Okay, thank you. Bye
All
bye.
the best to
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Adios.
Ciao.